Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. First of all, let us praise to God. Let us praise to Allah for His mercy and protection that given to us so we can come together on this day. And secondly, I would like to express my great gratitude to my lecturer, Mr. Anugrah, who give us chance to deliver a start of our group discussions in this opportunity. So guys, in this opportunity, we would like to tell you about our discussions of book that read by Mona Baker with entitled, in other words, a course book on translations. And ladies and gentlemen, from this book, we are having instructions from Mr. Anugrah to find out the problems of non-equivalence at word level in English and Indonesian context of translation. Before I discuss my explanations, let me to introduce my group. So in this group, we have 4 members. That is me. My name is Galang Aji Prakoso as the first speaker, and then Vira Anissa Kesuma as the second speaker, and then Restu Fadilah as the third speaker, and the last but not the least, Aisyah Wirawati as the fourth speaker. We are students from grade 337A07 English Literature Binasarana Informatika University with the subject of translation project, and the lecturer is Mr. Anugrah. So ladies and gentlemen, we are going to strike with the chapter 2 of the book with the title Equivalence at Word Level. So ladies and gentlemen, what is word? We are frequently heard about word. We are used to use any variety of word in any language. But do we really know about the actual meaning of word, ladies and gentlemen? So word is a smallest unit of the language. Word is smallest units of a context or a sentence, ladies and gentlemen. Word is a smallest unit that will or possess individual meaning. In other hand, Ringler in years of 1960 described that a word is a smallest unit that possesses individually meaning, ladies and gentlemen. For present purpose, in a specific context and recent context, we are using word as orthographic purpose or orthographic form, ladies and gentlemen. It means that words that are frequently are used to texted in a paper as an orthographic with any space, ladies and gentlemen. And then the next point is word and meaning. Each word has correlations and relationship with meaning, ladies and gentlemen. So according to the book of Mona Baker, she explained that word is no one-to-one relationship between orthographic words and elements of meaning within a class of language, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take an example. So if we are hearing the words of rebuild that contains of one word, it actually contains of the two supporter, ladies and gentlemen, the re and rebuild. That means to build again, ladies and gentlemen, which is the re has its meaning for the constructions of word that make it rebuild, and the build itself has its meaning for constructions the words of rebuild again. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the point of the relations of word and meaning, ladies and gentlemen. And then the next point, ladies and gentlemen. In this chapter, Mona Baker tells us about the introductions of morpheme, ladies and gentlemen. So what is morpheme? Morpheme is an actual meaning of a word that can be open in a word that contain in a word, and maybe or possibility of the word itself can be has many meaning, ladies and gentlemen. So I take the example of inconceivable, as you can see in the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the inconceivable contains of three meanings or three word supporter, that is in, unsafe, and able. And if the three of word it's unite, it could be built a word as inconceivable, ladies and gentlemen, that has one meaning. And then the next, morphem also can be beneficial or useful for our daily life. I mean, like for the gender, for showing the gender, we can use the morphemes. In example, for someone who has responsible for her or his subordinate in her or his jobs, we can call it, if he is a man, we can call it as manager, and if she is a girl or lady, we can call it as managers. That is the useful thing or the benefit of morphem, ladies and gentlemen. In other hand, there are still so many benefit of morphemes, ladies and gentlemen, or the other functions of morphem, like to the plurality. If I take example of font, we used to hear about font. And then if we are using additions word as or character as behind of the words, so it would be fonts. That font and fonts has different plurality meaning, ladies and gentlemen, because of the affections of morphemes. And then tenses, ladies and gentlemen. We used to know about the tenses in grammatical subject, that where is the verb one and the verb two and the verb three is different of the form of the word, because what? Because the affixes of morphem itself. And then the verb to adjective, ladies and gentlemen. The verb to adjective, where we use in example, when we are using a word like as a verb and we change it to adjective, so it would be like able. Why? Because the morphemes affect the positions of the word itself. It can be verb and it also can be adjective, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the functions of morphem and the small introduction of morphemes that I can conclude of the chapter 2 by Mona Baker's book that we read. So the next material will delivered by Vira. And Vira, the floor is yours. Hello, Vira. Hello, Vira.
First of all, we have to know about various of lexical meaning. So, what is about lexical meaning? Lexical mean is connected with a vocabulary or dictionary. So, lexical meaning is the meaning or base or root word without considering any prefix or suffix may be attached and about specific value. After that, we have to proportional versus expressive meaning. So what is proportional meaning? Proportional meaning in lexical meaning is of a word or an utterance arises from the relation between it and what it refers to or describes in a real or imaginary world, as conceived by the speakers of the particular language to which the words or utterance belongs. So the next is expressive meaning. Expressive meaning is related to speakers or attitude rather than to what words and utterance refers to. So in expressive meaning, the speaker can describe both the meaning with the feelings. So the translator or the speakers want to translate word or sentence to be various expressive. Next. In pre-support meaning, Pre-support meaning is definition about arises from co-occurrence restrictions, that is restrictions on what other words or expressions we expect to see before or after a particular lexical unit. So in pre-support meaning, there have two various. The first is selectional restrictions, and the second is collocational restrictions. After that, we move to evoked meaning. Definition about evoked meaning is arises from dialect and register variation. So what is definition about dialect? A dialect is a variety of language which has currency within a specific community or group of speakers. For example, a dialect from South Sumatra and a dialect from West Java is different. Different from language and from a word. This is way to know about the different culture. Next is register. Register is a variety of language that a language user considers appropriate to a specific situation. In register, there is third discourse. First is field of discourse. Field of discourse is an abstract term for what is going on that is relevant to the speaker's choice of linguistic. For example, linguistic choices will differ for translation and can adapt based on context such as football and making speech. For sure, if we talk about the speech and the football, of course, different from the material and different to talking. So it's based on the material. Next, we about tenor of discourse. Tenor of discourse is an abstract term for the relationship between the people taking part in the discourse. So getting the discourse right in translation can be quite difficult. It depends on whether one sees a certain level of formality as right from the perspective of the source culture of the target culture. And then third is mode of discourse. In mode of discourse is an abstract form of the role that the language is playing, such as speech, essay, lecture, instruction, and for its medium of transmission, spoken and written. For example, words such an abstract term from the role that the language is playing. From a word such as re is perfectly appropriate in a business letter or as part of the subject line in an email communication, but is rarely, if ever, used in spoken English. So usually, word re or re is usually to use in email, but in spoken or direct language is not usually to getting re. Next. Okay, continue to the third speaker. Restu Fadilah, time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. I will explain about the problem of non-equivalence at word level. Based on Mona Becker in her book with title "In Other Words," there are 11 kinds of the problem of non-equivalence. First is culture-specific concepts. The source language word may express a concept which is totally unknown in the target culture. The concept in question may be abstract or concrete. It may relate to a religious belief and a social custom or even type of word. For example, such as a privacy. I think privacy is one of example the word is example the word which too hard to translate into other language. And then next, the source language concept is not lexical in the target language. The source language word may express a concept which is known in the target culture, but simply not lexicalized. That is not allocated a target language word to express. For example, such as Safari. I think the Safari is easy to understand, but has no equivalence in many languages. And then the third is, okay, the short language word is semantically complex. The short language word may be semantically complex. This is a fairly common problem in translation. Words do not have to be morphologically complex to be semantically complex. For example, such as aruachao, that is a Brazilian word, which means clearing the ground under coffee trees of rubbish and filling it in the middle of the road in order to aid in the recovery of beans dropped during harvesting. And the fourth, the source and target languages make different distinction in the meaning. The target language may make more or fewer distinction in meaning than the source language. For example, such as kehujanan and hujan-hujanan in Indonesian language. I think that is a different meaning, but in English, I have no distinction about it. So I guess Indonesian translator will difficult to choose equivalent word. And then the fifth, the target language like a superordinate. The target language may have specific words, but no general word to hit the semantic fields. Russian has no ready equivalent for facilities, meaning any equipment building and services and etc. And then the sixth, the target language like a specific term. More commonly, languages tend to have general words or superordinate, but like specific ones. Since each language makes only this distinction in a meaning which seem relevant to its particular environment. For example, such as feature, and then survey, and then report, critique, commentary, review, and many more. And under host, English again has a variety of hyponyms which have no equivalence in many languages. For example, such as bungalow, cottage, crowd, chalet, clothes, food, mansion, manor, villa, and fall. And under gem, we find more specific verbs such as leap, fall, spring, bounce, dive, clear, plunge, plunge, and lapman. And then the seven difference in physical or interpersonal perspective. Okay. Physical perspective may be of more importance in one language than it is in another. Physical perspective has to do with more things or people are in a relation to one another or to a place expressed in pairs of words such as come, go, and then take a bring, and then arrive, depart, and so on. For example, equivalence for gift, depending on who gives to whom. Yeah, it is in Japanese language. And then the age, difference in expressive meaning. There may be a target language word which has the same proportional meanings as the source language word, but it may have a different expressive meaning. And then the ninth is difference in a form. There is often no equivalent in the target language for a particular form in the source text. Certain suffixes and prefixes which convey proportional and other types of meaning in English often have no direct equivalence in other languages. For example, such as is and then able and okay, I think enough. And then the tenth. The tenth is difference in frequency and purpose of using specific forms. Even when a particular form does have already equivalent in the target language, there may be a difference in the frequency with which it is used or the purpose for which it's used. Thus, English uses the continuous ing form for binding clauses much more frequently than other languages which have equivalence for it. For example, German language consequentially rendering every ing from inline source text with an equivalence. And then the last is the use of loan words in source text. The use of loan words in source text poses a special problem in translation. Quite apart from their respective proportional meaning, loan words such as chic, and then house. Okay, I think enough for me, and Aisyah will continue. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to explain the strategies that used by the professional translators. Okay, the first one is translation by a general word. This is the most common strategies that used by translators for dealing with this problem, for non-equivalence problem. So the translators use like a general word that has the same meaning with another languages. Okay, for the example, the word shampooing can be seen as a type of washing, but wash can be used in anything, but shampoo it's only for hair. Okay, so the second one is the translation by a more natural or less expressive word. There is a noticeable or difference in the expressive meaning by mumbling with the nearest from the source language to the target language. And then the third one is a translation by a cultural substitution. This strategy involves replacing a culture from the source language to the target language. So if the culture from the source language and the target language is similar, it can be a strategist. For the example is in Britain, cream tea is an afternoon meal, but there's no equivalence in Italia. So the Italian translator used pastry to to translate the cream tea in Britain, but still the meaning of the translate is food. Okay, and then the fourth one is using loan word or loan word plus explanation. Loan word in Indonesia is kata serapan, so it has or it comes from the source language. This is also the common strategy, but this is not the most common. But technically the word from the loan word from the source language, it should be base of modifying of superordinate general word. Okay, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth strategy is paraphrase using related word. This is when the concept of the source is lexicalized from in the target language. And then the translation by paraphrase using unrelated word, it's opposite with related words. So it's not lexicalized to the target language. Okay, and then translation by omission. Translation by omission is the strategy that may sound rather drastic, but in fact it does not harm the translation itself and the word expression in some contexts. So yeah. And then next or the last one is the translation by illustration. There's no. Okay, the translation by illustration is when the translation itself from form by illustrate, such as picture or color. In this book, the example is Lipton yellow tea in Arab market. It used for tea, so it illustrate by a tea bag that a yellow color. So yeah, it use illustrating like a picture and etc. And I think that's all. That's all for the strategies that used by professional translators out there. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all
Thank you.
Thank you, Aisyah. Okay, thank you guys, and that's all the important point that we can conclude of the book of Mona Baker. And then I will conclude, or I will answer the questions of Mr. Andre about the problem of non-equivalent at word level in English and Indonesian's context of translation. If we are look back to the book of Mona Baker in chapter 2, we are conclude the problem of non-equivalence at word level in English, Indonesian's context of translations with 4 problems, ladies and gentlemen. The first is different culture-specific concept. As you know, the English and Indonesians obviously has a different culture. And when we are using the context word of English, it will be affected by the culture itself. So if we are translating an English word to Indonesian words, we have to know the cultural understanding of the English, ladies and gentlemen. And then the next, or the second point, is the use of English idiom. Refer to our experience, there are so many English idioms that feels difficult to translate to Indonesian language. Why? Because the English idioms frequently they are using connotative or unreal meaning of the word. So we have to know the feelings, we have to know the purpose, and we have to know the context of the author making that words in that context, ladies and gentlemen. The idioms frequently used to prioritize the priors to illustrated the conditions of the idiom itself. And then the third problem is lack of vocabulary. In Indonesia, there is so plenty people that still lack of vocabulary. What if we could say if we have no words in English, ladies and gentlemen? So if we have no enough vocabulary in English, we will experience the difficulties to translating English word in Indonesian word, ladies and gentlemen. Lack of vocabulary will trigger us to be lack of a sort, ladies and gentlemen. So we have to learn more about the English word, and we have to fill our mind with the English word, so it will be easily to translate the English word to Indonesian word, ladies and gentlemen. And then the last but not least, the fourth point is the use of artificial words. Artificial words can frequently be found in poems or songs, ladies and gentlemen. Artificial words is prioritize the beauty of the word. So we have to know, we have to interpret the purpose and the context of the song. We have to know the mindset of the author to translate the artificial word, and it could be very hard to translate in Indonesian. So I think that's all the problem of non-equivalence at word level in English Indonesian that we can conclude from the chapter 2 of the book from Mona Baker, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's all for us, and thank you very much for your attention. If there is any benefit things I hope that it's useful for you, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.